Joining us now from Los Angeles is Al Jazeera Political Correspondent Michael Shure. Michael, good to see you. This could be a real problem for the president and for the agreement, because any increase in sanctions would almost certainly scuttle any realistic chance of the deal being done. Do you think we could see a bill with more sanctions pass with a veto-proof majority?
Yeah, I mean, listen, right now it's very early. I think when you look at the public reaction to this deal and the idea of finally seeing diplomacy work, I think a lot of people are saying, hey, let's give this a chance. And what you're running into in that one vote shy part, Antonio, is a really important part here, especially with Robert Menendez, the chairman of the the ranking member of the Foreign Services Committee now, under indictment. And his position in the Senate even is tenuous right now, and he's an important part of this conversation. So I do think that we're going to have to see how Congress takes the temperature of the country probably over this Easter weekend into next week before we know a little bit about what senators and what congresspeople are going to say, hey, you know, maybe we should give this a chance, or absolutely not.
You know, as you know, the president has tried to portray opponents of the deal as warmongers. But is that going to fly? Because it's not just Republicans opposing it. You know that Chuck Schumer, who's likely to be the next leader for the Democrats in the Senate, is also questioning the wisdom of the deal.
Yeah, listen, I think the art of labeling is something that the Republicans have proven themselves to be very good at. And whenever a Democratic president or a Democratic, someone in Democratic leadership tries to do it, it often seems to fall flat. Right now, the president has to make a distinction that he's not making between people who support this and people who don't. The warmongering is not something that people like Lindsey Graham is saying that's our only out. Lindsey Graham is saying, first of all, he's saying I may run for president, and he's also saying that I think that we should look at these sanctions and use diplomacy, but while sanctions are in place. Right. And that seems to be a place of compromise that Republicans are willing to go.
On the other hand, you brought up the public reaction to this. Could this be a problem for Republicans? Because an ABC News Washington Post poll found that 59% of Americans support a deal with Iran, and even among Republicans, more support it than those who don't.
Yeah, that is going to be a problem. Look, we're going into an election season already, earlier than we do. It feels like we just got results last November. It feels like it was a half hour ago. But Antonio, you're right. People are starting to say, hey, listen, we have combat fatigue at this point. America seems to have it. Poll after poll is saying it. That doesn't play well for the Republicans. So I think what Graham is doing, as we mentioned, by saying that combat is not the only other option, diplomacy, but from a different place, seems to be the tactic that will work best for Republicans.
Finally, the president is being portrayed as being too desperate for a deal because he wants to burnish his foreign policy legacy. And opponents are already highlighting how the president very forcefully promised during his last campaign that any deal with Iran would guarantee that the Iranians would have no capability to enrich uranium. So is this going to feed again into the narrative that the president promises one thing and delivers another?
Well, you know, and you go back to 2007 when the president, was running, he was a senator at that time, saying he would negotiate with no preconditions, and Hillary Clinton called him naive for doing that. Yeah, I mean, I think what happens is that it's changed a little bit from when the president first started talking about this, and yes, it seemed like he was desperate for a deal, to today when the price of oil is down and Iran seems a lot more desperate to do something now than they did before. And I think that sort of has fed into the idea of some sort of compromise between Iran and the United States that John Kerry was able to negotiate. So I think that there's a lot at play here. It's not just the president trying to burnish his image as a foreign policy success, but it's more about saying, hey, listen, I've stayed the course with this. Let me keep doing it. And I think that's what he's going to try and press the Congress to do. They're on the phones all weekend. Everybody in the White House has been calling. So there's a lot to look forward to for the president.